Hey everybody, Karyn Bryant for MMA H.E.A.T here talking to Cory Sandhagen, who will of course be on the first UFC card of 2019. Before we get into who your opponent is, Cory, how happy are you anyway to at least be back in action?
Oh, I'm super pumped, especially the first one on ESPN. When Sean Shelby kind of told me that that's what they were thinking for me is January 19th on ESPN. I was super excited. I didn't really know what ESPN Plus was, but hopefully I'll be on the prelim so I can be on the actual first ESPN card that and make some history. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's funny that you say that because even for me, I'll be working on shows on ESPN and people have questions for me like, "Hey, KB, what's it going to be like?" I'm like, I don't have all the answers yet. You know what I mean? So a lot to figure out. But let's get into the specifics here because Cory, you were supposed to be fighting John Lineker. I thought this was such a cool matchup. He's a very dangerous guy, but obviously based on your last performance against Iuri Alcantara, you look totally ready for it. But what has happened with the Lineker situation?
I'm not sure. The rumor is that he got hurt. I'm really bummed about it. I was really excited to, on my third UFC fight, jump up to the number 6 spot, having had win that fight. So I'm pretty bummed about that, but I mean, it must be pretty bad. I know that Lineker is a really tough dude, so I hope he's okay, and hopefully they'll find me someone soon new.
So yeah, how does that take us through the steps here? Because I know spend a lot of time around fighters, and there's certain people who, when you look at that number, you look at that name, you're like, oh shoot, I got to take this. So when you see a call coming in, I guess maybe it was from Sean then, right? Or Mick. So what happened?
So my manager actually called me. Said that that's who they were thinking.
Okay.
I don't approve or disapprove any of my matchups. I don't like carrying that weight on my shoulder at all. I like that being my coach's job. So I said, yeah, cool. I'm down. My weight is good. I'm healthy. So January 19th still works for me. Just talk to my coaches, and if they approve, then yeah, we're good to go. But yeah, super, super exciting.
Was there any consideration of just being able to push this fight back? Not that obviously you want to be on that first card, but did they give the option of just saying, hey, do you want to wait for Lineker or take this risk with somebody that we're just throwing at you last minute?
I didn't even ask if that was an option. I was just excited to take that fight, any chance you get, I think, to fight someone that high on there, you take, whether it's a good fight, a dangerous fight, like Lineker is. I still think that you take that opportunity, and the quicker you can get to the top without having as much damage on your body as you can, I believe that that's what you should try to do as like a new person in the UFC.
Well, absolutely. I mean, that's the right way to do it, and you kind of have to have that anytime, any place mentality to a degree. And hopefully they'll be able to find you somebody, that's still a nice challenge for you, but that would move you up the ranks. That's basically what you're hoping for, yeah.
Yeah, that is what I'm hoping for. Again, I was really bummed, but I keep having it in my mind where I'm like, I'm not gonna let this straw break my back. I'm not a camel. So whatever, it stresses you out a little bit, like opponent change, blah blah blah. I think that they'll be able to find me someone. So I'm not gonna stress out about it. I'm not gonna let that straw break my back, and hopefully they'll find someone so I could continue to fight in January 19th. I actually have a ton of family coming too. My mom's from Queens, so I was really excited to fight in front of my family for the first time too. So hopefully it works out.
Cool. For the first time, they've never seen you fight.
I mean, my mom, dad, and sister have, but I have a really big family in Long Island. My mom, my grandparents are from Ireland, so they just had a ton of kids. So I have a lot of aunts and uncles, married to Italians who have a lot as well. So.
Yes. A lot of Catholics in the family then. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, a lot of Catholics going on in the family on the East Coast too. So, hopefully they can watch me. It'll be their first time. I know that they were super excited too, so we'll see what happens.
Very cool. Well, the one thing that we do know, right? So we don't know your opponent for this fight right now while we're talking, but we do know what you've done in the past, and your last performance was against Iuri Alcantara, and we have to talk about this because that fight, I mean, I don't know what you thought when you watched it back, but I mean, people lost their minds watching that first round. You know that, right?
Yeah, I do know that. When I watch my fights, it's a little bit different because I'm trying to critique. I do remember having a very lucid thought where I was like, Oh wow! If I was someone different watching this fight, I would be very, I would be very like blown away a little
Yeah.
bit. You know, I don't like to toot my own horn. I'm not really one of those guys, but yeah, there was one time when I was watching the fight, and I was like, all right, yeah, that was pretty cool. That was pretty awesome. Way to go! Patted myself on the back a little bit.
Well, the way your arms bend, apparently, Cory, you can tap yourself from like pretty much anywhere. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right.
What was the takeaway from that? Like, were you sore after? I mean, you had to be sore after, right?
Yeah, there was bruising. I didn't break anything in there.
Uh-huh.
I had to get cleared for the Brooklyn fight, so I got an X-ray on it, just to be safe. But actually, the X-ray came back, and she was like, nothing extensive is done to your arm, but there is a break in there, but it was from about like 2 or 3 years ago, she said. So I was like, oh, okay, well, good to know.
And you didn't even know about it 2-3 years ago? You're like, you just sucked it up back then?
Yeah, that's part of the sport, you know, like it's just part of it.
Yeah. It's crazy. That's crazy. Well, Iuri, it had a lot of history in the sport, right? Same thing with Lineker, right? This is a guy with 39 fights, and you have 10, right?
Yep.
So that would have been a big jump up for you with all that experience. But somebody like Iuri already had a lot of experience too, and you were able to weather that storm and ultimately come out victorious in that. So was there anything for you? I know fighters are confident before a fight and they feel good about who they are, but I have to feel like a win like you had over Alcantara really does a lot for you. Like I would think that would do a lot for your confidence moving forward, knowing that you can survive such a hard time and still keep your wits about you to pull off a victory.
Yeah, sure. Mentally, it did a lot for me because everyone likes to think that they're the man and like they'll overcome all this adversity, or they'll know how to react when the heat of the battle is going on. But I mean, really, you never really know until you're in there, you know. Yeah. So I learned that about myself. It did bring me a lot of confidence. You know, I know that I'm very technically skilled. I know that I'm always going to be in shape, and I know that I'm tough. It was nice to have my mind tested and to be put in the fire and come out okay and realize that I have that inside me still.
Cool. Well, that was your second fight in the UFC, right?
Yep.
Right. So people are still starting to get to know you then. So you train out of Colorado. So, who are your main training partners? What do you, who do you get ready for fights with?
Yeah, so we have a lot of good guys at Elevation. Drew Dober, Neil Magny, Curtis Blades, Overeem is training with us now a little bit. So those are the UFC guys, but also, man, we have like a lot of probably 2 or 3 fights away from being in the UFC, like 155ers, 145ers, and 135ers. So we're kind of all over the board. But I was looking around the room a little bit earlier, and I did notice that we have a lot of guys from about 135 to about 155. So I get like a ton of looks from those guys. So it's good. And the elevation is a big thing in Colorado. Anytime I go down in elevation when I'm fighting at sea level, I really feel like I don't get tired. And I don't want to jinx myself, but I really feel like a superhero when I go down in elevation.
Yeah, no, it's such an advantage to have that for your training. Such an advantage. Well, you talk about the bantamweight division, at your gym that you got a lot of guys in there and stuff, but we know, we've got Dillashaw as a champion. He's going to be going into a super fight with Henry Cejudo. They may end up closing the 25 division, but right now the bantamweight division is looking pretty hot. I know you do want to, climb your way up and stuff, but ideally, if you could kind of plot out a few fights, are there names that you have in mind of who you would like to fight to climb the ranks? If Lineker could have been one of those guys, obviously.
I honestly wasn't thinking as far as like top 5 guys until they offered me Lineker.
Yeah.
Almeida was a little bit in the works for a while there. I don't really know what happened. I think that would be a really great fight for people to watch too and actually appreciate. I think me and him would have a very stylistically exciting fight. Yeah. When they said Lineker though, I immediately was like, oh man, like I'm probably like 1 or 2 fights away from the title if I do really well in that fight. So I thought about it a little bit, but now that Lineker's out, I don't really know who they're going to give me. So that's really, really up in the air. Obviously, I'm trying to make it to the top as quick as I can. Everyone's in this sport for different reasons. Some people are in the sport to push their brand, to make money, whatever they may be doing. But I'm in here to really, really to challenge myself and to be the absolute best martial artist that I can be in one's lifetime. So whatever brings me closer to that, I'm cool with.
Cool. Now I have to ask. So, if you weren't a professional fighter, what do you think you would have done with your life?
I don't know. I think about that all the time, actually. I'm really glad that it worked out. I do have a part-time job, though, at a place called Mount St. Vincent's. It's a place, it's a treatment facility for traumatized kids.
Oh, wow.
I'm an assistant teacher there, only a couple days a week.
Uh-huh.
Now, before it was a little bit more, but now I have to focus on training a lot more. But I really enjoy the work that I do there, so I've thought about social work a little bit, too. But I don't know. I'm in the UFC now, so this is what I'm doing, and I'm very excited about it.
Yes, yeah. It's very cool. Well, it's noble work, social work, but yeah, that can wait until after the fight career. That people always need help, so that's something you can do later. And lastly, I want to ask you. You know, you did get that bonus against Iuri. So what did you spend it on? Like, are you one of those guys who got your 50 G's and bought fun stuff, or do you like cool mortgages paid, rent is paid? Like, you gotta do something fun. What'd you do with it?
That's what you think, but I didn't, man. I didn't do anything. I know. I'm sorry. I even said that I was going to, you know. I even told my coaches, I was like, hey, man, first bonus we get, we're all going on vacation.
Yeah.
And then that kind of just, like, blew with the wind. I don't really know what happened. I think with the next one that I get, though, I'm going to try to buy a house. I want to hook myself up for life. You know, I'm like one of those guys that wants freedom 10 years from now, and I don't want to have to like work some job that I don't want to work just because I was a little silly with my money. So I'm really frugal, but I don't know. Maybe next time I'll have a better answer for you.
So you didn't go over to Cherry Creek Mall and like get loaded up in like all the hot fashion, the latest fashion over there. You didn't treat yourself to like a Rolex or anything, huh?
You know what's funny is I did go to the mall afterwards because like. When you're in this sport, you don't have much money until you're in the UFC or you're on a higher stage. So I was so excited. I was like, all right, I'm going to the mall and I'm going shopping. Like I don't get to ever do this. Like I don't even remember the last time I bought anything for myself. This is what I'm doing. I go to the mall and I see that there's like a shirt for like $30 that I liked, and I was like, $30? Get out of here with this. I didn't even want to spend the $30.
Corey, I'm gonna tell you, you got to get used to letting the money flow if you're gonna climb the ranks. You gotta, you know, $30 for a shirt is not a lot of money.
I know.
I thought you were gonna say 300.
Yeah, well, 30 is a lot when you're used to like spending before I got signed. So
yeah, you're right. You're right. Well, if you get another bonus, treat yourself. You'll be in New York. There's a bunch of great places to spend money in New York City. So.
Yeah, I'll keep that in mind for sure.
Yeah, it's pretty great. Well, listen, Corey, this is the first time I ever got to talk with you, and I'm really glad we made this happen. Really excited to get to know you. I'm sorry that you're not fighting John Lineker. I was all fired up to talk about that, but we shall see who you get. But I love your mindset, and you're just kind of ready for whatever comes, so I think that's already halfway to success, so best of luck to you.
Yeah, cool. Thanks a lot, Karyn. Thanks for talking to me.
Cool. See you soon. See you in Brooklyn.
All right. Okay. Yep. See you, Karyn.